I'm Rex Haymarket, and this is the 8-hour workday where every crisis somehow becomes your bill and their bonus. Tonight we are covering one story, and on its face this story is about Hasan Piker. But in reality it is about power, gatekeeping, and what happens when somebody with a large audience of young people stops being merely online and starts becoming politically useful in the real world, because over the last several days, Hasan Piker has been everywhere. Mainstream press, cable news, local Michigan coverage, political attacks, hand-wringing think pieces, all because he appeared alongside Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed, turning what might have been a niche campaign event into a national argument over who gets to speak for the Democratic Party and who gets to be exiled from it. The trigger was simple. Hasan joined Abdul El-Sayed on campaign stops in Michigan. And because Michigan is a nationally watched Senate race, and because Israel and Gaza remain one of the sharpest fault lines inside the Democratic coalition, the moment Hasan stepped onto that stage, he stopped being just a streamer and became a political weapon in the eyes of the press and the political class. AP framed the story as a test of how broad the Democratic coalition is willing to be. CBS presented it as a party rift centered on Israel and progressive politics. Fox treated it as proof that Democrats are cozying up to extremism. Different tone, same result. Hasan became the story. Not healthcare, not labor, not cost of living, not war. Hasan became the story. Not healthcare, not labor, not cost of living, not war. Hasan. There is no public proof, at least not from the reporting, that one central actor ordered mainstream outlets, advocacy groups, and rival political voices to move in lockstep. That one central actor ordered mainstream outlets, advocacy groups, and rival political voices to move in lockstep. But there is very clear evidence of a converging backlash. Multiple institutions with different motives all recognized Hasan as a useful pressure point at the same time and pushed on it. And once you understand that, the coverage starts to make a great deal more sense. To establishment Democrats, Hasan is dangerous because he reaches young voters they struggle to reach, especially young men outside the usual party-approved channels. He is not frightening because he is fringe. He is frightening because he is effective. To pro-Israel advocacy groups and party loyalists, Hasan is also the perfect vessel for a broader crackdown. He has a long archive. He has said inflammatory things. Some of those remarks are real, and they have been repeatedly cited in mainstream coverage. And that archive is precisely why he is vulnerable to this kind of offensive. But the real question is not whether the archive exists. The real question is, why does that archive suddenly become urgent right now, in this exact race, at this exact political moment? Because until this week, Hasan was mostly a problem for advertisers, media columnists, and people who still think Twitch is some sort of skin condition. But once he appeared beside Abdul El-Sayed in one of the country's most watched Senate contests, he stopped being merely controversial and became electorally relevant. And that is when the knives came out. And let us be honest about what mainstream media loves here. They love a contained morality play. They love internet celebrity colliding with electoral politics. They love a story where the actual material stakes, wages, healthcare, war, student debt, cost of living, can all be displaced by a theatrical argument over whether one loud, polarizing man should have been allowed on a stage. Because that kind of story is clean, it is safe, it is familiar. You do not have to answer the anger of the audience. You only have to stigmatize the messenger, and that may be the most important part of all. Hasan's real offense is not just tone, it is not even just the archive. It is that he speaks to a block of younger, alienated, anti-establishment voters who increasingly do not trust legacy media, do not trust party leadership, and do not particularly care whether a cable anchor thinks they are respectable. That makes him useful to insurgent candidates, and it makes him intolerable to institutions built on controlling legitimacy, controlling access, and controlling who gets to shape the political narrative. So my view is this: what we are seeing is probably not a proven centralized conspiracy. It's something more routine and in its own way more powerful, an elite reflex. A candidate on the left starts to gather momentum. A media figure with a young audience attaches himself to that momentum. The establishment notices, and suddenly the conversation is no longer about why those voters are angry. It is about why the person speaking to them must be made radioactive. So yes, what appears to be happening is a concentrated attack on Hasan Piker. But the cleanest way to say it is this: he has become the focal point of a converging backlash from establishment Democrats, pro-Israel advocacy voices, conservative media, and mainstream outlets that all have different reasons to target him, but a shared interest in narrowing the boundaries of acceptable dissent. And that, more than Hasan himself, is why this story matters. If you'd like to feed the algorithm that monitors our dissent, hit like and subscribe. It's a small price to pay for being told what the establishment would rather you didn't hear. Workers, warriors, let's keep the static loud. Because when the system cannot contain the audience, it tries to discredit the person speaking to it. Mind the static, mind the spin, and mind who profits.